So, hello everybody. I really want to welcome everybody to St. Columba's. First of all, I would like to thank you for visiting my church. This is an honor to be able to host this. Second, I am very honored that this many people are coming out for a Ventura County Interfaith Community event. This is an amazing evening to be able to do this. It makes my heart sing. And before I introduce the wonderful person who brought this event to us, I need to do some housekeeping. So the bathrooms are out through, if you go out the double doors to your right, there's a men's and women's bathroom back on the other side of other double doors. We don't normally do this, but tonight we want to promote the idea of having a donation because the three people who will be speaking from Israel are traveling here and it costs money. And anything that would be put in that plate tonight, whether it's cash or a check made to Ventura County Interfaith Community, will go to them for their travels. So we want to try and help them with that. Nothing will go to, it will not stay with Ventura County Interfaith Community and it won't go to St. Columba's. It will go to them. So I wanted to speak to that. Also, the flyers may be back on the table in what we call the narthex, the entrance back there. On the, I have to think because the days are different this year because it's leap year. Normally I can match February and March, right? So on the 26th of, no, not the 20th, yes, the 26th of March, we will be hosting something purely by Zoom, and we haven't done that in a long time, but we will be having a Zoroastrian person be interviewed by Timothy Helton, Dr. Timothy Helton, and that will be on Zoom because the person will not be in our locality. It's not very often you get to hear an introduction to Zoroastrianism, so please join us. He has the flyers right here. Also, if you don't happen to get a flyer and you're interested in what we're doing, Ventura County Interfaith Community is online, and you can find us at vcic.info. vcic.info, and it'll talk about the different events we're doing, and you can go to events and look back at the different things we've already done. And there's some pretty amazing things on there. So I invite you to do that. If you did not know about us and you want to know more, we have flyers that you can pick up, and that will have our website on it and different information about who we are. In fact, we've been in existence since 2005. And we're not just an ecumenical, we are interfaith. And I'm going to embarrass people here. So if our Muslim friends Shanaz and Irshad would stand up, they're part of our planning group. Rabbi Michael Lotker has been with us from the very beginning. Keith, and he is a born-again believer. Non-denominational born-again believer. And Bobby, where'd you go, Bobby? She's back behind us from the Church of Scientology. Peggy Smith is from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Tim and I are Episcopalian, and tonight our friend who's been with us from the beginning is not here, and that would be Linda Lowe. So if you could remember her in your prayers for continuing health in her life. Am I missing anybody from our group who's here tonight? Becky? Becky is from something that we've done. Stand up, Becky. She is from something that was done called the Interfaith Friendship Project. And from that project, we did small groups of interfaith meeting together as friendship groups, and then from that, a Bible study, or not Bible study, scripture study. You can tell I'm Episcopalian, scripture study. And then from that, we've kept one group, and we do service together once a month and feed the homeless in Ventura on Wednesdays, the 5th Wednesday of the month. So you really might want to keep checking in with us to see the fun things we do. So So saying all that, if I haven't lost you, I would like to introduce Rabbi Lana Zilberman Holloway. And this has really been a gift to us because she came to us from out of Ventura County to be part of our group and has brought some new energy. She comes from Israel as a Reform rabbi to do her service here in California. I think that's amazing. And when she came to, it is. And when she came to our annual potluck where we all meet together and get to eat food together, which is really important, she had this idea and told me about this. And I said, we should do this. We should do this. So I want to say, as she talked about what we're going to do tonight, I learned that this beautiful Muslim woman sitting here was staying at her house. And I want to speak to that because we hear so much in the news of the negative. And we have a Muslim friend and a Jewish friend who are staying in the same house, eating food together and serving together. So that is why it is such an honor tonight to introduce Rabbi Lana, to introduce these speakers.
Thank you so much. Good evening, shalom, salam. I'm new to California. I came here just this summer, 6 months ago, and I serve as a rabbi at Congregation Orami in Calabasas. And actually, after October 7th, the first thing that I wanted to do, as I was sinking deep into the pain and of all the destruction that happened in my homeland, was really to look for an interface group of people that believe in the same values that I believe in, which is when people come and they meet together and they look each other in the eyes and they learn about who we are, first of all, as human beings, before and beyond anything else, miracles can happen. And I don't take it for granted that you decided to leave your home on a Monday night when it rains and to come here to meet this incredible group of people that I feel very, very blessed and fortunate that we were able to bring to the greater Los Angeles County for 3 evening events, and this is the first out of the 3. And thank you so much for coming to meet, to hear, and hopefully to be inspired and to be part of the holy, beautiful work of love, healing, and reconciliation that these wonderful people are doing in the Holy Land. So Rabbi Or Zohar, who will start, is a friend and a colleague and the founder of this beautiful group called the Spirit of Galilee. And the reason I came to Terry about a month ago and asked her if the Ventura County Interfaith Network would like to host members of this group is because I saw a lot of similarities between the work that I understand as a new person that the network does here and the work that I know that the Spirit of Galilee are doing in the Galilee, in the northern part of Israel. And then next to Rabbi Or Zohar, right in the middle, we have Abuna Saba Haj, who is a Greek Orthodox priest, who is also a Palestinian and also an Israeli citizen, and he's serving a community of thousands of people in the northern part of Israel, in the Galilee, and he will share about himself. And then my friend over here, Ghadir Haney, who is truly one of the most incredible human beings that I've ever got to meet. And Ghadir and I walked and marched through many peace marches together. We went through a lot of pain and a lot of joys, a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And I'm just deeply moved and happy that she is with us tonight. And she is very, very, very dear to my heart. So without further ado, I'll hand it to Rabbi Or Zohar to get us started.
Good evening. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. It's really good to be in this house of worship together with such a diverse group sitting from over here, if you can maybe just, you know your group, but we're here seeing you, and it's just a beautiful sight to the eye to see such a diverse crowd, knowing that you are what you are. So thank you for having us, for inviting us to speak to you. My colleagues and I, we did come, well, this morning we flew from Omaha, Nebraska, but actually we came from Israel before, so we're really glad to be here together with you. Our organization, Spirit of Galilee, essentially is although we have a few projects, our organization has a few projects. Our main core project is a group that we represent. We're about 30 religious and community leaders from the northern part of Israel, the Galilee. And our mission is to, through the bonds and the network that we build together, the friendship, the trust, the journey that we go together as human beings, and we've been doing that for the past 4 years regularly. There have been earlier episodes, but we really became organized 4 years ago. We meet monthly, we visit each other's communities, we learn about each other's challenges and successes, we study each other's holy scriptures, we have seminars in the desert and in Jerusalem, and we do all that not only to gain friends and partners and enjoy the amazing beauty and knowledge that exists in all our traditions and to learn from one another, but also because each one of us also serves a community. And therefore, when we become friends, our community sees that. And when we collaborate, community members also come to collaborate, and we have realized that this is a powerful vehicle that we're building with exponential potential to bring change in the Galilee region because it needs change and it needs transformation. The Galilee region has about 1 million people, a little less than LA, I think. And the interesting thing about it is that 50% are Jewish, more or less, and 50% are Arab, mostly Muslim, but also there's Christians and Druze. And by the way, in the group we have a Buddhist, and of late we I think Hare Krishna, who was Hare Krishna, and then is something else related. But so we're expanding, and so that diversity, yeah, and the Galilee region, unlike other places in the Holy Land where there's much more occupation and segregation, in northern Israel, as my colleagues will tell you, the Palestinian communities are also citizens of the state of Israel. And even though, as you know, the fact that everyone's a citizen doesn't mean that it's exactly utopia, and everyone is, because there are thin lines that separate people, even, and there's biases and racism and many problems. We come from a troubled land. Yet our region, in comparison to other regions of the country, at least we have a good place from which to start. And that allows for us to meet. It allows for us to collaborate. It allows for us to move freely and meet one another and visit one another in safety. So we would like to see our work, although regional, as a model, potentially, for also other regions of our country that are in much worse state, as you know, and perhaps even beyond our country, because when we meet people like you, we understand that there's thin lines that connect us all, and we're in a time when we need to also know who our friends are, right, around the globe, so we could hopefully help lift each other up, as we say. So I'll just tell you briefly that what ignited it. We just moved, my family and I was younger, about 12 years ago. We came to the Galilee region from Tel Aviv. I was recently ordained a new rabbi with a new pulpit. My daughter was born, and just 5 days before Yom Kippur, the holy day for the Jews, and I had to go and be a rabbi in a place that's 40 minutes away. I left my daughter, my wife behind. Luckily, her parents came to help. Anyways, after the holy day, 25 hours, we're fasting, we're praying. I'm a new rabbi. It went pretty well for the first time. I'm all happy. I feel alleviated after all the singing and the praying and the fasting. And I get in my car and I drive, wanting to see the newborn baby at home. And I passed near an Arab village on the way to my village, and some Arab youngsters are honking and like waving at me. I thought, what do they want from me? What is this? And they were pointing at my at the engine of my car, which was steaming. Apparently, I was so in the seventh sphere from the holy day that I forgot to see that the gouge of the. In other words, I forgot to put water in the car, and it was. So I got stuck at the side of the road near an Arab village, and I said, God, what are you trying to teach me? Have I not prayed? Did I not fast? Did I not preach? And was I not a good rabbi to my people? I want to see the baby grow. And what's the message, God? And as I was asking what the message is, a black Mercedes-Benz pulls over, and an Arab gentleman from the village stops. Oh, are you stuck? To make a long story short, he didn't let me go until the tow truck came, and I came to his house, and I could only leave after he gave me a huge tray. His wife gave me a huge tray of food to take to the baby. In other Arab hospitality, okay? And I said, when I got home, I kissed the baby and my wife, and I said, thank you, God, I got the message. And since then, I decided that my work as a rabbi in that mixed anniversary cannot just be for the Jews. And it has become important to me that part of my journey as a leader will be, connecting people. So we started very modest and very local with people-to-people events and inviting to each other's holidays. And I'm also a musician, so we connected through music and different things like that. And as my journey developed, I started to meet leaders. And then it came to my mind that, in fact, if we invest in the leadership, we can achieve more. And therefore, the Spirit of the Galilee. So this is who we are. This is what we do. It's really an amazing opportunity that it came to be that we can also come to the United States, that now we're sharing this story with people in the three most important cities in America: Omaha, Nebraska, LA, no disrespect, of course, right? LA and New York City and New Jersey. That's going to be our next stop and last before we return home. I really want my colleagues to also have a chance to speak to you. So I'll end here, and should we turn to Ghadir or to you next? You next? Okay, so there you go. Oh, Ghadir, I forgot there was one thing I wanted to say, okay, can I? So, sorry about that. I knew that there was one, because I think it shouldn't go unnoticed. I just want to say one more thing. I think it's important for the context of the conversation. And there's a reason why my brain kind of shoved it to the forget compartment. When we planned this trip about a year ago, we did not know that we were going to come here after October 7th, and when our homeland, our joint homeland, it can have many names, but it's the same country, right? Our joint homeland will be in a state of horrible crisis of war, violence, pain that affects everybody. And as we journey throughout the world, we understand that everyone around the world is also affected by it. So I just want to say that we're aware that our conversation here, the elephant in the room is that we're coming in from a very difficult country in a very difficult state and situation, and we pray that our meeting here tonight will be a tiny, tiny step from all of us towards healing and reconciliation and peace and justice So thank you for being here, and we need everyone's support tonight. So that's what I really wanted to say before handing on the mic. Thank you.
Ghadir will tell her story, and because her English is so-and-so, so I will translate from the I, so it will be authentic. I will speak in her voice.
ערב טוב, מסע אל חיר. אני מאוד מאוד מתרגשת להיות כאן, ותודה על ההזדמנות וההזמנה.
Good evening. I'm very moved to be here tonight, and thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to be here.
קוראים לי רדיר, ואני מעכו. עכו היא עיר מעורבת בצפון הארץ, היא מעורבת שגרים בה יהודים וערבים.
My name is Radir, and I'm from Akko. Akko is a city of mixed population in the northern part of Israel. There are Jewish people and Arab people live there together.
למרות שאנחנו גרים בעצם בעיר מעורבת אחד ליד השני, ואנחנו לומדים בבתי ספר נפרדים, יש בתי ספר לערבים ובתי ספר ליהודים.
Although we live in a city that is shared by Jews and Arabs, our education system is completely separate. There's school for the Jewish kids and school for the Arab kids.
בארץ, לשמחתי, יש כמה בתי ספר דו-לשוניים שהם ליהודים וערבים, מלמדות מורות ומורים גם יהודים גם ערבים, אבל מעט יחסית.
Luckily in Israel there are a few schools that are combined, Jews and Arabs together, and in every single classroom there are 2 teachers, one of each, but unfortunately not so many of them.
אולי בארצות הברית עיר מעורבת זה רגיל, אבל אצלנו יש יישובים ערבים, או מה שנקרא כפרים ערבים, ויש יישובים יהודים, ויש מושבים, קיבוצים, כל מיני דוגמאות, אבל יש את הערים המעורבות, ששם אחוז האוכלוסייה בדרך כלל בין 30 ל-35-37%.
In the United States of America, it is probably normal that there are cities where there are mixed communities and everybody kind of live together and go to the same schools. But in Israel, it's very not common, and most people live within their own communities. So the Arab population lives within their own communities, the Jewish population lives in their own communities, and usually in mixed cities, and there are only 7 of those, there are about 35% of Arab population.
אז בעצם המפגש הראשון בין צעירים ערבים או בין ילדים ערבים לבין יהודים כמעט ולא קיים עד שהם מגיעים לאוניברסיטה. שאני מדברת על היום-יום, לא רופא או אחות או קופאית בסופר, אלא באמת המפגש האמיתי של היום-יום זה רק כשהם מגיעים לאוניברסיטה.
So imagine that kids grow up in such societies without having any opportunity to meet one another. And I'm not talking about if you're going to the supermarket and the cashier is from the different community or something like that, but to truly know one another. And that encounter happens for the first time when they get to university.
אני פעילת שלום ופעילה למען חיים משותפים, ומקדישה את החיים שלי לפעילות מסוג זה, לקירוב לבבות, להיכרות ומפגשים של יהודים וערבים שהכירו, שיפגשו, וכן, שידברו על כל הדברים שמעניינים אותנו ביחד.
I am a peace activist, and I spend my life for this purpose, to bring people together, to have encounters from heart to heart, and to make sure that different people get to meet one another truly and to understand each other's differences.
מתוך אמונה ששלום נבנה על בסיס אימון, ואימון נבנה מתוך היכרות. כדי שיהיה אימון, אנחנו חייבים להכיר, להיפגש, ולמרות השוני, גם אנחנו ביוזמה, לא כולנו מסכימים תמיד על אותם דברים.
I do this from a deep belief that in order to reach peace, we need to have trust. And to reach trust, we need to really get to know each other on the deepest level.
אני בשנים האחרונות התחלתי להיות פעילה בין דתית בעצם, אני מוסלמית, אין לי תפקיד רשמי, אין באסלאם, אין כמו שיש רבה, אין באסלאם אישה שהיא שייחה, אבל אני מאמינה, אני דתייה, ומאוד חשוב לי להעביר את המסר כאישה מוסלמית.
I'm Muslim. I don't have an official position because in Islam it's not common for women to have religious leadership positions like a rabbi or a priest, but I am a religious person. I'm a deep believer, and in recent years I found myself in the sphere of interface, encounter, and dialogue.
אז אני מנהלת דף פייסבוק לשיח בין דתי, שמעבירה שם תכנים בעיקר, גם אקטואליים, אבל בעיקר לימוד על הדת אחד של השנייה.
I lead a page book face where I educate people about the different aspects of different religions.
ואני גם מעבירה הרצאות, מפגשים חינוכיים לתלמידי בתי ספר יהודים על האסלאם, ויחד עם עוד רבנית או רב שמדברים על היהדות בבתי ספר ערבים וקבוצות של מנהיגות.
I also meet a lot of high school students. I do it usually with a rabbi. We go to Jewish high schools and I get to teach the Jewish students about Islam. And then we go to Arab high schools and we get to teach them about Judaism.
אנחנו בבתי ספר לומדים על היהדות, לומדים על היסטוריית העם היהודי, לומדים גם תנ"ך בעצם, אבל היהודים לא לומדים כמעט שום דבר על האסלאם.
In our schools in the Arab society, we actually get to learn about Jewish history and about the Hebrew Bible and about Jewish traditions and customs, but unfortunately, Jewish kids don't get to learn anything about Islam.
אולי בארץ אין אסלאמופוביה או אנטי ציונות, אבל יש הרבה בורות, יש הרבה גם פחד, נגיד במצבים כאלה שאחרי 7 באוקטובר, כאילו הרגשנו כמה, אני הרגשתי כמוסלמית שהולכת ברחוב, אמנם אני גרה בעיר מעורבת, זה חלק מהנוף, מה שנקרא אישה עם כיסוי ראש, אבל אני הרגשתי את הפחד ואת המתח בלראות מוסלמי, אז זה בגלל הבורות, בגלל שאנשים מיד תופסים את האישה עם הכיסוי ראש, ששייכת למוסלמים, ששייכת לחמאס, שעשה את מה שעשה.
Although in Israel there's no anti-Semitism or Islamophobia, but there's a lot of ignorance and there's a lot of fear, especially in times of conflict like we're experiencing right now. Even in mixed cities, when seeing a woman with a hijab is the norm of life, and still, when I walk on the street, often I see the fear in people's eyes, and I believe that it really is because of ignorance. People see me and often think that I am Arab, so I'm Muslim, I am a terrorist, I'm part of the Hamas, and it's a ripple effect that goes and grows like a snowball when it's all about ignorance.
ואותו דבר, הערבים בעצם, כשרואים אדם עם כיפה או כיסוי ראש, כאילו אדם יהודי דתי, אז בראש שלנו זה המתנחלים האלימים שעושים את כל מה שעושים לפלסטינים בגדה. אז מיד כאילו גם תופסים את זה, ועכשיו בגלל שגם חילקו נשק ליהודים, אז יש הרבה פחד אחד מהשני.
And the same way, when the Arabs see religious Jews, a man with a kippah or a woman with a head covering, then they identify them as the settlers that live in the West Bank, that often are disruptive towards the Palestinians. Now there's also a lot of weapon that is kind of available, so they immediately categorize them as violent settlers. And that is also due to a lot of ignorance.
והמפגשים כאלה בעצם באו לחזק להביא ידע, שכל אחד ידע על השני, שלא כולנו אותו דבר, שאנחנו לא מסכימים. אני בכלל, ב7 באוקטובר מיד פחדתי מאירועים אלימים בין יהודים לערבים, כי ידעתי שזהו, כאילו יתייגו אותנו, שאנחנו תומכים במה שקרה וזה, אבל החברה הערבית לשמחתי בסולידריות וגם כאב על מה שקרה ב7 באוקטובר.
I truly believe that these encounters that I lead in schools are very, very important in order to break down these walls of ignorance. And every single time when things are escalated, I find myself really, really afraid what's going to happen next. So following October 7th, I was very much afraid that now the Jewish population is going to tag the entire Arab population as collaborators, and everything is going to be escalated. But luckily, I'm very, very happy to share that the Arab community in Israel did not side with what was done by the Hamas, and things are more or less calm on that ground.
אז אני פלסטינית, אזרחית ישראלית, אני ערבייה, אני מוסלמית ואני פמיניסטית.
So I am Palestinian, I'm an Israeli citizen, I'm an Arab woman, I am a Muslim, and I am a feminist.
Thank you, תודה. אני מחזיקה בכל כך הרבה זהויות, ומחזיקה במורכבות הזו, בעיקר להיות פלסטינית אזרחית ישראלית.
So I have many identities and I own every single one of them. And of course the most complex one is being a Palestinian and being an Israeli citizen all at the same time.
והמסר שלי אליכם, או הבקשה שלי, לא לתפוס צד, לא להחליט שאתם פרו-פלסטינים או פרו-ישראלים, אלא להיות בני אדם ולראות בנו בני אדם. אני חושבת שעצם המפגש הזה היום של שלושתנו ולראות אותנו פה ביחד, שבאים מארץ הקודש, אני מרגישה שזה מאוד מרגש אפילו אותי, שאני רגילה לזה.
So my message for you, or my request for you, is not to choose a side, not to choose and decide that you are pro-Palestinian or pro-Israeli, but to be pro-humanity, pro-human being, and just to see me as a human being, and to see that the fact that we are sitting here on one stage together is because we are human beings, and that's how the world really should be.
שוכרן, thank you.
Masa el-Khair, Arif Tov, good evening. My name is Saba. I am a Greek Orthodox priest from the Holy Land, from Galilee. First of all, forgive me for my English. It's my third language after the Arabic. Arabic is my mother tongue, and then the Hebrew, the language that we study. And we study also in the university in the Hebrew language, and then the English. So I was born in a village called Ebilin. It's about 20 kilometers from Nazareth in Galilee. And I am Arab, Palestinian, Christian, and I have also the Israeli passport. I am citizen in Israel. And sometimes when I say all these identities, the people they don't recognize, or they don't know about this all identities. But I think that it's very simple. I am Arab by that I belong to the Arab people. My grandfather was born in 1911 in the period of the Ottoman Empire in Galilee, and I belong to the Arab people by my language, by my culture, the music that we listen and we sing, the clothes, the food, everything that we live in the daily life is Arab, and we live in Arab village. That it's about 42 are Christian and 58 they are Muslim. Then my father was born in 42 in the British Mandate period, and in 48 after the war and the establishing of the Israel state. My father was 6 years old, and he started to learn in the school, and then he started to learn Hebrew. But for example, my grandfather, he didn't speak Hebrew at all. He only speak Arabic. And on the other side, we are Arab, Palestinian Arab, and we are Christian. And sometimes they say how the people think that all the Arab are Muslim. They don't know that the Christian Arab are exist before the period of Al-Jahiliyyah. The period of Jahiliyyah, it was before the Islam. And a lot of Arab, very famous Arab poets were Christian. That I think that there is no paradox between my identity as an Arab who belong to the Arab people and my identity as a Christian, my faith, my religion is Christian. And in addition, we have the Israeli passport, we live in the state of Israel, and we feel ourselves as Israeli because we study in Israeli university, we listen to the Israeli news, we listen to the Israeli music, not as much as the Arabic music, but we live that. We work with Jewish. For example, I was lawyer before I become a priest, and we work in the court with another lawyers. That some of them are the majority of them as they are Jewish and also Arab. So we work together, we live together, but as Ghadir said, the real connection between Arab and Jews is in the university or in work, because before that everyone study or learn in a separated school. I said that I somehow and not completely feel as Israeli because the Israeli state is defined as a Jewish democratic state. And when we say it's a Jewish state, as if it's the state of the Jewish people, so as if they are saying to me, it's not your state, it's not your country. And you can imagine if someone here is Muslim and they say that the United States is Christian state, he will not feel completely belong. In addition, there is a discrimination in the state of Israel, and everyone can see that. I will give example. For example, there are about 80 or 90 rail stations. No one station in an Arabic town or in an Arabic village. I was expecting that 20% of these stations are in the Arabic town and village, but no one. And we can feel that the government distinguish the Jews from the non-Jews. And you can see also the economic situation for the Arab and the Jews, how it is, and the neighborhood of the Arab and the Jewish. We feel it daily. This discrimination, we feel it daily. I will give you another example. When I started to study in the Hebrew University, I applied for a dorms in the dormitories and for the student. And I went there to the office and asked to take a room, and always they give one room for 2 students that time. And I saw that they are giving rooms for other students, and when I come to take a room, the lady there said, we don't have room. So I said, but you gave for all these who were before me. She said, without any hesitating, I have room for Jewish, but I don't have room for Arab. And she said, she talked politely. She talked politely that she said that I wish that we will reach a time that Arab and Jewish can live together in the same room, but in this situation it cannot be. It's obvious. It's not hidden. It's not only they make it in secret. No, it's obvious, and we have also in the last years the Knesset, the Israeli Parliament, make a new law that declare that the state is the state of the Jewish people, and the formal language is the Hebrew. Before that, the formal language. Before that, from the mandate period, there were three formal language: English, Hebrew, and Arabic. And this law come and change this situation. We have as a Christian in the Holy Land that we are minority in minority, because the Arab are 20% of the population, and the Christian are about 10% of the minority. So we are about 2%. 2%, that means about 130, 140,000 Christian. And this minority also divided for Greek Orthodox, and the Greek Catholic, and the Latin Church, and the Protestants, and the Armenian, and the Syrian Catholic, and Syrian Orthodox, and a lot of small communities. My community is the Greek Orthodox Church. We belong to the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem. My community in Ebelin is about 5,000, and we have also about 1,300 from the Melkite Catholic Church. And it's for the Holy Land, a community of 5,000. It's a very big community. So we have a lot of challenge that our number is very, very small, and we live in a country that defines herself as Jewish. We live in Arab society that the majority are Muslim. Sometimes we can feel tension between the Christian and the Muslim, the Christian, the Arab, and the Jewish. Usually it's calm. There is no problem, but sometimes a small problem can be after that can be a big problem between two groups. And by the way, today is the election for in Israel for the local municipalities. That's the situation in Israel, and that's why I am, as a Christian leader, in addition of my role as a priest in the church, I feel myself that I have another rule in my society. Because the Christian in Israel, they are not only belong to a Christian church. They are, some of them feel as if they are also belong, even if they don't believe, even if they are a little bit far from the religion, they feel themselves part of the church as a society, because they are minority and they have, and because in Israel you have to be part of a religion group, because in Israel each religion have his own court. For example, a religion court. That in this court we deal in the issue of the marriage and divorce and the heritage, and it's for all the religion. So the Rabbanit court, they have the authority in these issues for those who are Jewish. And there is ecclesiastical court that they have the authority to deal with these issues with the only Christian. We deal with the people who belong to religion as they are registered in the Ministry of Interior. If they are registered as a Christian, even they are not baptized, they are Christian. In the law, see them as a Christian, even they are not baptized. This is the situation in Israel. That's why as a Christian leader, I feel myself that I have another duty, not only the religion duty, as I said, as a society, as a leader of the Christian, as a society, to make my best, to make effort, to achieve a better situation, better condition, to live in peace and in calm life, so that I am activist in some groups that deal with interfaith dialogue. One of them, the Spirit of the Galilee. We make a lot of programs. We teach and we learn and we spread and we emphasize the love and the peace, and we know and we teach that God is love, and without love and without peace we cannot achieve the better life. We try, not we, the people in Israel, both from the both sides, they try and they are trying the violence and they are trying the war, and the violence bring violence and the war bring only damage for both sides, and no one will win in the war. Only the peace will bring us better life. Thank you very much.
That was excellent. Thank you very much. And I do remember when I sat down that I forgot to tell you the cards were for questions tonight. So somebody will come and collect those, or if you raise them up, I'll come and get them. But I'm going to start with a hard question. And I'm doing this because my husband and I really believe in interfaith work. And many times people say, we have so many things in common, but we also have things that are not in common. And the reason I'm asking that is, we believe, my husband and I believe, that those things that are not in common, and when we meet with other people, teach us about our faith. So my question is, how has working together with other faiths informed or taught you about your faith? Does the question make sense, Lana? Okay.
Ghadir says, I can see that you're not certain what to say, so I'll begin. She's saving me, so there you go.
אני חושבת שלפני שמתחילים להיפגש ולדבר, חשוב מאוד שכל קהילה תהיה חזקה באמונה שלה ובאמת באני מאמין שלה ובדת שלה.
I firmly believe that before we go and meet with the other, each community needs to stay strong and to have a strong self-identity of who they are.
כדי לא להרגיש איום במפגשים מסוג זה, או ניסיון לשינוי כלשהו, כאילו לגרום לשינוי, אם זה בדת או באמונה או במחשבות.
And that is in order not to feel threatened by the other and not to feel like somebody is trying to convert you or something like that.
אז לפעמים אנחנו לא מסכימים ואנחנו מרגישים בסדר גמור לא להסכים.
So often when we meet, we disagree, but we feel absolutely okay being in the disagreement.
ואם נגיד אנחנו רוצים לנסח איזה משהו, אנחנו מתדיינים על זה עד שבאמת נגיע להסכמה, כאילו מרגישים שזו חובתנו, זה התפקיד שלנו, לנסות להגיע למשהו שיהיה מוסכם על כולם ומקובל על כולם. גם בהקשר של המפגשי לימוד שלנו, אנחנו מחליטים על מה אנחנו רוצים ללמוד ונגיד לאורך השנה, התוכנית שלנו לאורך השנה, אז זה גם בדיונים, יש דברים שהם מאוד מאתגרים.
But when we need to reach some sort of a decision, then sometimes we talk for hours with one another until we reach a decision that is acceptable on every single one of us. And when, for example, we build a plan for the year, what we want to learn about, then also we come up with a decision all together, so everybody will be part of it.
המפגש שלי עם דתות אחרות דווקא חזק אצלי את האמונה של איזה דת מדהימה יש לי.
Meeting with other religions make me believe even stronger what an amazing religion I belong to.
זה לא ממעיט מהחשיבות של הדתות האחרות, אבל אני כגדיר כאילו מרגישה באמת שאני גאה כשאני אישה מוסלמית, שאני אישה שמאמינה, ובסוף כולנו מאמינים באלוהים אחד.
It doesn't minimize or take away anything from all other religions that I meet, but I am strongly believe that I am a Muslim and I'm a believer and I believe in one God, and at the end of the day we believe in the same God.
Yeah, it's a good, tough question. Thank you. Challenging. A few things. One is, I live in a tiny community of about 200 households on a mountaintop, and it so happens that all the surrounding communities around us are Arab, Muslim, or Christian. One thing that we were in the mosque in Omaha, and actually the prayer there was someone from the Nablus area, and I said, I feel like home. Because I wake up every morning around 4 a.m. for the Muslim prayer, actually, of the muezzin. And one thing one of many things that I appreciate about the Muslim tradition is how much they are committed to their daily spiritual practice. Yes, that's something amazing. In the Reform Jewish rabbi, and in Reform Judaism, the habit of praying daily is something that is open for the individual and is not kept a top priority almost. I see some nodding here in the first row, right? And we have many other good things, that we do, and some of us pray daily. But but this constant reminder that I get as a neighbor of the Muslims challenges me to ask myself, what is my daily Jewish practice? And what do I do when I wake up in the morning or when I go to sleep? And these are 5 reminders daily that I have from my neighbors to remember God. So I'm very grateful for that. Another issue to point out in our group that came out one year, we have an annual topic, and one year we decided to talk about gender issues. And it was very apparent that even though we're all in the group because we believe in peace and pluralism and learning from one another, in this respect our traditions are very different. Like Ghadir said, and also with Abuna, by the way, I'm the only one of the 3 of us where in my tradition women can also be clergy. Okay? As we see, rabbi. Right? And so that also, I take pride in that, but I also respect the difference. There was a lot of tension in our group. For example, I remember a certain encounter with a Druze sheikh. There's also a Druze religion, and a few of the Reform rabbi women in our group. That he would refuse to shake their hand because he can't do it according to his religion. And they were offended because he would shake my hand because I'm a man and a rabbi, and not their hand. And what was amazing about that was 2 worlds clashing, and it was just amazing example where no one was right or wrong. They were both right, because for him it's just like, some women would not want me to, let's say, hug them, right? It's their space. It's just his tradition. And for the women it was, but we're feminists, so how do you bridge? So this is an example of how we can learn about the nuances, but our group knows how to solve this, because we don't fight over these things. We understand that we're all different, and it accentuates also the differences that we have. Thank you.
About your question, that how we deal with that every religion, for example, maybe will say another thing or opposite or something not the same. I want to tell an event or story that happened in our village. We have a very good relationship between Muslim and Christian. And once in the Christmas period, the Muslim make a celebration for the Christmas in the mosque or in the hall near the mosque. And a bishop called Atallah Hanna came, and he known as a very open mind and patriot. He came to this event, and one Muslim guy, he wanted to embarrass him. He asked him, am I, as a Muslim, will go to heaven? So what did he answer? He answered him, we have a lot of common thing. The love to accept the other, to respect the other. We have a lot of things that we accept, that we have to emphasize them. So in our group, we don't talk about theology. We don't talk about the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, because we will not accept any a solution. So we are talking about things that are common in all the religion. And I think in every religion talk about love, talk about peace, talk about to accept the other, and that's the most important thing.
Questions? As I hobble, okay, definitely. You don't mind staying tonight, right? Wow, I'm seeing all these familiar faces out there. And we had some people come in after I did introductions. Salma is back there, and she's from the Caneo Valley Islamic Center. And Marishvara and Bradrani are Hindu friends. So, and I didn't introduce, I should be nice and introduce our rector, who is Pastor Michael Anderson. And then back here is Reverend Julie Morris, and she pastors Mount Cross here in Camarillo. And I will say that Miss Reverend Julie Morris was sitting on our living room in 2005 with Rabbi Mike when we initiated our group. So it has been a wonderful journey. Okay, can I read these? Okay. I'm gonna go browse through them for a second, okay? Yeah, help me do this one. We knew these were going to come. Where do secular Jews and non-believers fit in to Israel's society? So. They're non-religious Jews.
Yeah, so actually, most of Israeli society are not strictly religious. I'm speaking about the Jewish sector now, on this behalf. I think as once they made a survey, how many people in Israel are strictly atheists, and the answer was 8%. So that's not small, but it's also not huge. Many Jewish people in Israel, it may be also true for the Christian and the Muslim. I'll speak for the Jewish majority. They would be on the spectrum of being either traditional, they have a sense of being Jewish, they probably believe in a higher power, they may call it God, but they do not necessarily define themselves as religious, or for sure not Orthodox religious. So it's really very, very more on a spectrum, on a fluid identity. It's cultural, it's spiritual, it's ethnic. So they do fit. They are the society. They are the major backbone of society. There's also very differences in cultural differences in this, in Jews who came from the Ashkenazi Western world, and Jews who came from the Sephardi Arabic world, who are more traditional but will not usually say, I'm secular or religious. So they do fit. And in our group, we also have secular humanistic rabbis. There is such a thing, who represent people who believe that also people who are secular, even people who are atheist or agnostic, deserve to have, spiritual leadership. I am a Reform rabbi, but there are very little actually Reform people in Israel. Most of the people that I work with in life cycle events and in community affairs and in pastoral care will define themselves probably as secular. But it doesn't mean that they're atheists. It means that they do not see themselves as Orthodox. And when they need a rabbi, they may turn to me, for example, because I would accept, to also do a service to a bat mitzvah to their daughter, which an Orthodox rabbi wouldn't, for example. So in that sense, Israel is a little bit, I would say, a-denominational or post-denominational. That's the way it is. So there's room for everyone.
אני גם רוצה לענות. גם אם שאלו על יהודים, אפילו מה... אני רוצה להגיד שדווקא הרבה מתרגשים לראות אותנו והרבה באים לאירועים שלנו.
I want to say that many people are very moved by what we do and come to our events.
הדת בעצם נתפסת, או בעצם הרבה מלחמות נעשו בשם הדת, והרבה אנשים מבחינתם, גם אם הם לא מאמינים, לראות נשות ואנשי דת יושבים ביחד ומדברים על שלום, על דברים משותפים, זה משהו טוב. זה לא גורם לאנשים להאמין בסוף, אבל זה קורה. גם באסלאם, נכון שאין לא מאמינים באסלאם, אין חילוניים, אבל יש אנשים שהם לא מקיימים מצוות, וכן מגיעים לאירועים.
Because a lot of the wars in the world are sort of in the name of religion, then people are very moved to come and to see religious leaders to talk together about their commonalities and things that they share. And even in Islam, not everybody are religious. Some people in Islam are not following the commandments per se, or the quote-unquote what Islam needs to be, but they believe in God, and they still consider themselves Muslim. And they not necessarily agree, but the fact that they come and they see religious leaders sit together and talk about all kind of different things, whether it's peace or love or even conflict, then it makes an impact.
במיוחד בארץ, שיש הרבה שמאמינים שהקונפליקט הוא קונפליקט דתי, אז הרבה אנשים גם מתעניינים לראות ולשמוע. כאילו, אני לא מאמינה שהקונפליקט הוא דתי, אבל אני כן מוכנה לדבר עם האנשים שמאמינים שלדת יש חלק, ובכל זאת, הרבה אנשים, שמענו את אבונה סבא מתאר את המציאות המאתגרת בארץ, אבל הרבה אנשים רוצים להחזיק בתקווה, ואני חושבת שאנחנו כן מצליחים להביא תקווה. אנחנו בגליל, אבל יש עוד יוזמות אחרות. בכל הארץ יש יוזמות כמו רבני לזכויות אדם שעושים הרבה פעילות בגדה, ואני חושבת שזה מדהים ומעניין, שבאים לאירועים האלה אנשים לא דתיים. דיברתי יותר מדי?
כן, כי פשוט יש הרבה מאוד שאלות.
זהו, סיים.
עכשיו אני איבדתי את חוט המחשבה.
אמרתי שהרבה אנשים רוצים תקווה קצת, כאילו, אני כבר לא זוכרת מה אמרתי.
Many people come and they get inspired and they get hopeful when they come to the events of religious leaders that are sitting together. And although Father Saba talked about many of the challenges of being a non-Jew living in Israel, Ghadir wants to emphasize the hope that a lot of people believe that there is hope and there's possibilities for a better future for all the people that share the land.
To help you understand where that kind of question actually makes sense to me, when I was a nurse working at our local hospital, I turned around to see somebody I knew from the Jewish community, and I said, "So why are you here?" And he said, "I'm doing mitzvahs." And I said, "But aren't you an atheist?" And he said, "Yes, I am, but I'm still doing the mitzvahs." So he was serving in his Jewish community because that's what was in his heart. Mitzvah means commandment. So there are 613 of them, correct? And just in the first 5 books, yeah. We're not talking about this, no. Yeah. So to give you a little highlight that is true what it is, that is true in the faith. So do secular Jews and Arabs have an easier time bridging difficulties than do Jewish and Muslim believers? So those secular people, like the man I'm talking about, is he going to have an easier time in Israel than somebody who is a believer or an Arab that is a believer?
Not necessarily, and we can't generalize because, some people just, maybe are more easygoing and can hang out, and so there's. But I would say not necessarily, because I think that sometimes the fact that people have a faith, it means that they have something in common, even if it's not the same faith. You know what I mean? So if someone, so I think if I talk not just about Israel at large, there's 10 million people in Israel and 5 more Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, so it's a lot of people. But about our small group in the Galilee, I think this is what brings us together. We are all people who are inspired and motivated by spirit, by faith, by religion, by some kind of a spiritual tradition. And that's what connects us and brings us together and motivates us to do things together for society at large. So this is an example for how, and maybe someone else, they're all like soccer or science or, music, and that would be their connection, right? But I think that for us, from our perspective, actually religion is to bring us together. I think it's a little bit what you were saying, Ghadir, that religion, we often phrase it that we believe that religion must be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Otherwise, who needs religion, right? And this is what we do. We connect. And I will say personally, I've come to know that when we speak of our faith, there are many differences. When we meet our faith in silence, it's probably the same silence. So there's many levels to that thing, and that brings us together. Sometimes religion, of course, is divisive. There's also that. We will not hide from that. We're working hard to form the kind of religious discourse that aims towards bringing people together.
So this is a simple question, and we're going to get to the more difficult ones, so hang on. So, do teenage Jews and Arabs meet socially at clubs or athletic events?
Yes, it's in the sport. It's usually it's according to the region or according to all the state. So there is they talk. I don't know if they talk, but sometimes, yes, there are some teams that in these teams that there are Arab and Jewish together. But usually there is Arab teams from this town and the Jewish team in the other town, and they are one against the other. And if there is someone, and if I don't think it's a lot. The number of those who play, of the Arabs that play in a Jewish team, they are not a lot. There are some, so it's not so serious things.
זה בעצם האנשים הפריבילגיים שיש להם כסף, גם אלו שמשתתפים באירועי מוזיקה, נגיד בקונסרבטוריון בעכו, יש ילדים, ההורים שלהם משקיעים, יש להם כסף, אבל מפגש כזה ביום יום ובקבוצות משותפות כמעט ואין.
There are barely any groups that are joined, and when does, through soccer, through sport, or through music, it's often from privileged families when the parents have the ability to pay for such music or sport. But again, it's very, very rare.
So do the Arab schools receive the same funding as Jewish schools?
האם בתי הספר הערבים מקבלים את אותו תקציב ממשרד החינוך או בתי ספר? לצערי לא, וזה מאז שאני הייתי בבית ספר, הייתי יושבת ראש ועד הילדים, וזה היה המאבק הראשון שלי, שאנחנו נקבל תקציב כמו שבתי ספר יהודים מקבלים.
Unfortunately not, and it's since I was a child and I was the head of the student body council, and one of my first battles were to make sure that we're going to receive the same budget from the Ministry of Education as the Jewish schools.
האמת העניין הוא לא אותו תקציב כי יש פער גדול, אז אפילו צריך לתת יותר תקציב. אז מנסים לתקן בשנים האחרונות בעוד תוכניות ועוד, אבל עדיין יש פער גדול מאוד. צריך יותר תקציבים אפילו לחברה הערבית מאשר אותו תקציב.
It's not even the equity because the gap is just so huge between the Jewish schools and the Arab schools that I believe that the Arab schools actually need to get more fundings in order to bridge that gap. But we're still unfortunately very, very far from there.
זה גורם להרבה ילדים ללמוד מחוץ ליישוב שלהם וללכת לבתי ספר בעצם של הכנסייה או בתי ספר פרטיים, שזה עוד פעם, זה לפריבילגים שיש להם כסף להשקיע בבית ספר פרטי.
And what it creates that a lot of families, and only those who can afford it, send their kids to private schools or to schools that are owned by the church. And again, they cost money, so it creates another gap within the Arab society between those who can afford it and those who cannot.
And so to help make a little sense of that, that even happens in California. The LA school district is Calabasas, but it's also Watts. And so the people in Calabasas have extra money to put towards those schools and help the kids. The people in Watts don't. So it's a similar thing, idea. And I think you addressed this, is that the history taught in the Jewish schools is not necessarily the same. No, it's the opposite way. All of the same history is taught in the Arab schools and the Jewish schools, but there is no Arab history taught in the Jewish schools. I think she addressed that. Here out of the blue, can you suggest organizations we can donate to that would support greater peace and make an impact? They're saying the Spirit of Galilee. Yeah.
Just to be fair, there are many good
There's the idea
organizations
too.
that work towards peace and equality. Spirit of the Galilee is one of them, and you're welcome to support us. But we're not alone. We have our, spiritual, religious agenda, but there are many other good organizations in Israel, and Ghadir is part of all of them, so you can ask her.
I'll just maybe mention too that Ghadir is personally a proud member. One is Women Wage Peace, and the other one is Standing Together, which is an initiative of both Jews and Arabs combined, both of these groups.
I think this is really important to understand. I agree with this question so much. What is the best news network to get the truth? Is there one?
מה הערוץ החדשות הטוב ביותר כדי לקבל את האמת? האם יש ערוץ חדשות שכזה?
אני אגיד,
I think we as Arab Israelis, we see the news in the Arabic language from Al Jazeera and Al Arabiya, and we see also the Israeli news from in Hebrew, and in the last month, and especially in the after the 7th of October, and from what I see, I can tell that the Israeli channel are not objective, and when I see the news and the video and the picture, what happened in Gaza, for example, there is as if there is تعتيم يعني yes, the Israelis, the Israeli channel, they don't show a lot of things that happened in Gaza. From the other side, also the Arab channel also they are not so objective, and they show more what happened in Gaza, and they don't show really what happened, for example, in October 7th. So I can say that if you want to see the real thing that happened, you have to see both of the channel. But I can say that in the last events, maybe I think Al Jazeera maybe will be the most, not completely, but the most channel that you can know the truth. It's in my opinion. Maybe he have another opinion.
I just don't understand Arabic, so I don't know. Unfortunately, by the way, yes, so I can watch it in English. I think what Abuna Saba, my friend, said is really the answer, because just like we're a pluralistic organization spiritually, we know that the truth is never in one place, and actually that's the problem of our time, that everybody just watches their own channel, and it keeps echoing what they already know and they already believe in. So I also try to read a few, let's say, Israeli newspapers from the right, from the left, to watch CNN, and I know that they're all have an agenda, right? And then I make my judgment.
Just go for it. My own comment. I was going to say I watched PBS and I sat there and heard sides from both sides, and I had to distract on my phone because I was distressed every single night. I still am. I heard something today. It was very disturbing. What about 40% unemployment for Palestinians? This is a true problem. The unemployment problem for the Palestinians is so high. And this is 40%, I believe it's more like 60%.
שואלים על חוסר תעסוקה, חוסר יכולת למצוא עבודה בקהילה הערבית. מה?
השאלה בדיוק, אם אפשר לדעת מה התכוונו, לפלסטינים או לפלסטינים בגדה או פלסטינים בישראל?
אז תסבירי, כן.
אני אשמח שמי ששאל את השאלה שיסביר האם נתכוון לפלסטינים בגדה או לפלסטינים בישראל.
So Ghadir is asking whoever asked this question, do you mean the percentage of unemployment among Palestinians within the state of Israel or in the West Bank? Because it's not the same, and the percentage is also not the same. So whoever asked the question.
הוא זה שהוא שאל, הוא אומר האם זה בין 40% ל-60% באופן כללי, בקרב כולם?
זהו, לנו אין כל כך מידע על הפלסטינים בגדה. עד ה-7 לאוקטובר הגיעו הרבה פלסטינים לעבוד בארץ, גם מעזה וגם מהגדה, אבל עכשיו הרבה פחות, ושם באמת יש מצוקה גדולה.
So among the Palestinians inside of the state of Israel, which is about 2 million people, the numbers are not this high. It's more or less the numbers of the unemployment within the state of Israel, which I would say are less than 10% or even less. But in the West Bank and definitely Gaza, the percentages are much, much, much higher. Also, before October 7th, there were a lot of permits given to Palestinians both in the West Bank and Gaza to come and work inside of Israel, which has been stopped since, and that of course elevates the numbers.
Yeah, and those who were living in the West Bank and working in Israel, to go to work is a daily chore in itself, and to go home, yeah. How is the decline in tourism impacting the communities? Would you say it is safe for us to visit Galilee at this time?
Well, the impact. Well, so war is a terrible thing, not only because the really terrible things of losses of life and violence and aggressions and brutality that affects all sides and everyone, but also because it's an economic disaster to many. And it's, often people, these are the silent victims of war, because, they're not killed or mutilated, so, but livelihoods or families are being destroyed all over. I can say that our region in the Galilee, the tourism is one of the biggest industries. And by the way, that affects Jews and Arabs. I will not say equally, because I don't want to get into who it affects more, but it affects everyone. I can give you an example. In my village, we have a charity committee, and people give, there's like a mutual fund. If a family, that's the privileged Jewish part. Okay, that when usually we'd get 3, 4, 5 families a year who ask for help from the committee. After the war began, we would get 12, 13, 14. Because people, so absolutely tourism is affected. The economy hurts all of us. The war, hurts all of us. Is it safe to visit the Galilee right now? So that, I would say, is a philosophical question, even a theological one. What is safe? What is safe? My wife and 4 children are in Israel now. So, we all have, families, people that we know, that we love there. It depends where in the Galilee. The really close to the border, 4 kilometers south of the border, and that is another issue of the war that is often not spoken about a lot. We know that there are about 1.5 million at least people displaced in the Gaza Strip, for example, which is horrible. There are also about 200,000 Israelis who are misplaced in their own country because they live next to the border. So the 4 kilometers, it's about 2 miles, south of the border of Lebanon, the entire population has been evacuated. I wouldn't recognize going there because missiles and bombs are falling there daily, as they're falling on the other side, on Lebanon, unfortunately. Where I live is 23 kilometers as the crow flies from the Lebanese border. And this is very close, we all live very close to one another, and although we are very concerned and worried, I have to say that until now, since October 7th, in our region, not a stone has been thrown. 1 gunshot has been shot between Jews and Arabs in our region. And I want to give credit to our people, to our leaders, to our communities, that we're keeping it like that. Now, can you go to the Galilee right now? I would say probably yes, but it's not for everyone. So talk to us and we'll tell you where to go and where not to go, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
I think I go to Bethlehem, and in Bethlehem, in this period before the Christmas and in the Christmas season, usually there is no bed, 1 bed you will not find free. But unfortunately, because of the war, no even 1 tourist is in Bethlehem, because also of the closure. And if you go to the churches in Jerusalem, it's empty. You will find only local, but you will not find any tourist. And all the airlines, they stopped reaching the Ben Gurion airport, so that it's a disaster.
No time for a tour, I guess. For leading a tour at this time. I'm glad I went with you. So, are any Palestinian families, or I'm going to add individuals, I'm adding to their question, showing up in your area as refugees from Gaza?
האם משפחות פלסטיניות מעזה מופיעות באזור שלכם כפליטים? מישהו צריך להסביר.
Everybody recognize the head shaking no.
כן, זהו. הם לא יודעים, צריך להסביר להם את זה.
אז לא יכולים לצאת, לא יכולים לבוא לישראל. כאילו, יש כאלה שמשלמים המון כסף כדי לברוח למצרים, אבל אנשים לא יכולים להגיע פשוט לישראל.
The Gaza Strip is an entirely enclosed area. it's not possible for the people from Gaza to come into Israel. There are some people that are paying a lot of money in order to escape and to find refuge in Egypt, not very successfully. But ever since 2005, which is when Israel disengaged from Gaza, in 2006, when the Hamas basically became the leadership of the Gaza Strip, they cannot enter into Israel.
אבל הרבה משפחות בישראל, יש אנשים, אתמול הגיעה אליי פנייה דרך הפייסבוק לאישה שהיא מעזה ונשואה למישהו ערבי אזרח ישראלי, הייתה בעזה בזמן המלחמה, הילדים שלה נתנו להם לצאת דרך ארגוני זכויות אדם, אבל היא תקועה בעזה, למרות שיש לה אישור אזרחות, אבל בגלל שהיא נולדה בעזה היא תקועה שם ולא יכולה לצאת, אבל יש הרבה משפחות שיש להם קרובי משפחה.
First of all, there are a lot of Palestinian families inside of Israel who are Israeli citizens, but they have family members and relatives in Gaza, and there's absolutely nothing can be done for them because they cannot take them out. And also, there are split families. For example, yesterday, somebody turned to Ghadir, a woman that is from Gaza originally, and she married someone who is an Israeli citizen, and she moved, actually, and she was living in Israel, but during October 7th attack, she was in Gaza with her children. So after a while, her children were able to leave thanks to human rights organizations, but she was not permitted to leave. So her children and her husband are in Israel, and she's still in Gaza.
That's hard. So I don't think you can answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. This is a Netanyahu question. What are the plans to rebuild Gaza for Palestinians?
אני לא חושבת שאתם יכולים לענות על השאלה הזאת, אבל אני אשאל אותה בכל מקרה. זו שאלה שצריכה להיות מופנית לנתניהו. מה התוכנית לבנות את רצועת עזה מחדש אחרי המלחמה? לי יש הצעה, אני לא יודעת אם נתניהו יקבל אותה.
Ghadir says, I have a suggestion. I don't know if the Israeli Prime Minister will accept it, but here it is.
אז קודם כל לעצור את המלחמה ולשחרר את החטופים.
First thing first, and that is to stop the war by releasing all the hostages.
דבר שני, להתחיל במשא ומתן, הגעה להסכם מדיני, ואנחנו, הפלסטינים, אזרחי המדינה, צריכים לקחת חלק, והנשים, חשוב שגם הם יהיו על שולחן המשא ומתן, כי בינתיים רק גברים מנהלים את החיים שלנו.
Immediately after the ending of the war and the return of the hostages, needs to be a negotiation for a statehood agreement. And the Palestinians or Israeli citizens need to be a very important part in leading that. And women on all sides need to be key players in leading that negotiation, because so far only men are making the decisions.
היום עזה במצב שבאמת הולכת להיות, כאילו מדברים על 70% מהמבנים או שנרסו, או לא יודעת כמה זה מדויק, אבל או שנרסו או שנפגעו, אז היום כאילו עוד מעט עזה תהיה מקום שלא ראוי למגורים, וזה משהו שגורם לאנשים לאבד תקווה, אפילו להתנגד לחמאס.
The Gaza Strip currently is in a terrible state of destruction. There are all kind of different numbers about how many building structures were actually destroyed, whether it's 60% or 70%. Nobody really knows what the truth is. But what we do know that it's not in a condition of living in there. And that creates a situation that a lot of the Palestinians who are there are protesting, and some of them are even protesting the Hamas because they understand that it did not bring them any good.
ותכלס ההצעה שלי זהו שעכשיו גם ישראל, גם ארצות הברית, גם אירופה וגם מדינות ערב צריכים לשבת ולהכין תוכנית לשיקום עזה כדי לגרום לכך שאנשים ירגישו תקווה ושאפשר לחיות, ואז באמת אפשר להגיע באמת לשלום.
So my proposal after all of this, that is Israel and European countries and the United States of America and the Arab countries will sit together and make sure that there is a plan how to rebuild the Gaza Strip and that people will be able to live there. And that is the only thing that will provide peace in the region.
I just want to add to what Ghadir has said from a slightly different angle. I don't think it's just a question for Netanyahu. I think that if we ask Netanyahu and the likes of Netanyahu, Gaza will never be rebuilt. And we can't let those kind of questions be the responsibility of leaders or incompetent leaders, or you know, I don't want to get too emotional here. I think that the main point is that when such a horrible thing happens, there's a tendency for each side to just look at the problems, at the suffering, the hurt in their own side, as if they're really sides, you know. And I think that what we have to, and this is for me, it's a religious point. It's a spiritual point. Maybe it's very natural, maybe it's even genetic to kind of take care of your own clan and think, oh, they burnt all those villages, Hamas burned the Israeli villages, I want to rebuild those villages and only care about that. But we have to educate ourselves spiritually to worry about the demolition on the other side. I think it's a very difficult and it demands a lot from us. But to wake up in the morning and say, even though they have hurt me, I have to understand deeply that if I do not also worry about the homes of those children, of those families, I will never have quiet and peace. And this is, I think, is a religious challenge. It's a spiritual challenge, so it's not just for Netanyahu. It's actually for each and every one of us to think about rebuilding Gaza, rebuilding the villages that were destroyed in Israel, and to see the other side's children as if they were our own.
After fire, for example, in the nature will find the way how it will rebuild the life again. And I think it's the nature of the life, the way of living, that always the nature, the people, will find how they will solve the problem and how they, even after destroying the life will continue, and the people will find this. But I hope also that the governments and the countries, the Arab countries and the European countries and the Americans will help in this mission.
Wow. Is there an alternative to the two-state solution? And how, should I ask these in two? Sorry? This is, I know who this is. You put your name, ask him in two. How can we move? Is there an alternative to the two-state solution? And how can we move to that answer?
Can you give it to me? Yeah, there was a whole thing in Omaha because people were doing fishing on us, and they found an article that I wrote in the CCR magazine about that question, and they kind of misquoted me and then made a big circle, red circle over my head and said boycott. But just so you know, the people who boycott us in the beginning, by the end of our visit in Omaha, we were talking. We may not have convinced each other completely, you know, but there was a process, and we're very grateful for that. So, yes. So I just want to say that there has been an article in which I argued that I would support the two-state solution, and if it happened tomorrow, I'd be the first to support it. When in the 90s, when the Oslo Accords were were determined. Me, as many Israelis and Palestinians were very hopeful, and for a while it looked like it was going to be a success. Many decades later, the point that I would like to make that I have trouble with the two-state solution if it remains a vague promise in the future that is never fulfilled and is used as an excuse to keep oppressing the Palestinians in the meantime indefinitely. And therefore, I came up with a statement saying that if we think that for various reasons, the settlers, the intifadas, just it's too small of a place for two countries, whatever it is, that we cannot have a two-state solution, maybe what we need to start thinking about is a one-state solution. But again, not one that would be an excuse for continuous discrimination between the Jews and the Arabs, but to actually give a passport to everyone and say, this is, and come up with some kind of a constitution and an agreement on how that would work. And in fact, I want to say I've been living in the Galilee for 12 years now. I live in an area in Israel where the Jews are actually a minority, and I feel fine. I'm not threatened by my Arab neighbors. I don't see them as sometimes, Jews or Arabs would call the other side a demographic threat. I refuse to look at my neighbor and say, hello, demographic threat, how are you doing this morning? It's a human being, right? So I really come to think about this, and it's really the spirit of the Galilee and knowing those people that, rather than maybe dividing us all the time, and if it hasn't worked for so many decades, and again, I don't oppose that. If it can be, if it's what we want to do, that's fine. But let's us also think of a way of creating, some kind of a political solution where different religious ethnic groups can, have their religious rights secure, etc. Maybe in different regions. I don't want to get into the nuance of it, but let's think out of the box and let's not say the two-state solution is a mantra. Let's think that what's really important is not if we have one or two or three states or five, but that our hearts are ready and we have trust so that we can sit together and decide which political solution we want to achieve.
I don't agree with you.
Good. Finally.
I think the two countries side by side, it's very hard, and there are a lot of challenge. The settlements, the Jewish settlements who are inside the Palestinian territories, but also the one country solution, I think it's very far. Why? I think most of the Jewish don't think like you. And I think 99.9% of the Jewish will not accept this solution because they think that the Arab they are demographic. They think and they believe that every Arab, even one Arab, is a demographic threat. And I want to, and you know that if a Palestinian Arab who have the Israeli citizenship want to marry a woman from the West Bank, from Bethlehem, it's according to the law. It's not now. There is no appeal for איחוד משפחות, איך אומרים? Uniting family. It's almost impossible for one. So how you will bring millions of Palestinians, 2 million from Gaza, 3 million from the West Bank, and the Arab also in Israel, and you will give them the citizenship in one country, and you don't give for one? It's very far. Maybe after 100 years, maybe, but not now. Yes.
אני דווקא מסכימה עם אור.
I actually agree with Rabbi Or.
אני גם הייתי רוצה, כפלסטינית, הייתי רוצה פתרון של שתי מדינות, שהעם הפלסטיני יחיה בחופש ויהיה לו עצמאות.
As a Palestinian woman, I would like that the Palestinian people will have their own country and they will live in freedom and independence.
אבל זה כרגע בלתי ישים.
But right now it's absolutely not doable.
ונכון, גם פתרון המדינה אחת זה יהיה מאתגר, כי הערבים יהיו כמעט 51% או 52%, אנחנו מדברים על עזה והגדה, ואי אפשר להפריד בינינו.
And the one-state solution is also not possible because already today, if we'll open up all the borders, when we count the Palestinians in Israel, in Gaza, and in the West Bank, and it's not separable, then it will be already over 51%, which will mean dominating number over the Jewish population.
אז קודם כל צריך לסיים את הכיבוש והשליטה בעם הפלסטיני.
So the first thing that needs to happen is to terminate the occupation and the Jewish control, the Israeli control over the Palestinian people.
וזה אנחנו צריכים לעשות ביחד, יהודים וערבים, פלסטינים וישראלים.
And to achieve that, we need to work and operate together, Jews and Arabs, Israelis and Palestinians.
ולהתחיל לדבר על הסכם מדיני שיהיה מקובל על כולם ומכבד את כולם וכולם מסכימים עליו. יש הרבה סוגיות מאתגרות, העניין של האסירים, העניין של זכות השיבה וכל הדברים האלה, שזה לוקח זמן. אני חושבת שרוב האנשים היו רוצים שתי מדינות, אבל זה יהיה מאוד מאתגר ליישם.
And what we need to operate towards is really a statehood solution where everybody will work on together and agree on all the very challenging conditions, such as the law, the Palestinian right to return to their own land, and the political prisoners, and many other issues. But the horizon should be the two-state solution as a vision to walk towards, even though right now it seems very challenging, bordering the impossible.
So I just glanced at my watch, and we're pretty over. So there are, what'd you say, honey? Survey? Yes. Do you have the survey to pass out? And while he's doing that, there's just a couple of questions, but because it is almost 9 o'clock, I do want to bring the questions to an end, and please forgive me if I've missed your question and you thought it was vital. But I do have a comment here that I wanted to read. What you're doing is beautiful. Have you heard of the tolerance, and they're asking them, you don't have to answer, but they wanted to know if you've heard of the Tolerance Trio. It was formed in America in the 1930s. So somebody else had done back then. And,
הם רוצים לדעת אם אתם שמעתם על איזושהי יוזמה שנקראת הטריו של הסובלנות, שזה איזושהי יוזמה שנוסדה פה בארצות הברית.
It toured America for several years, and it was very similar to what you're doing, and they wanted to say thank you. So I didn't get to the individual questions, but I do want to thank you tonight, what you have done and your honesty, and seeing the care that you have for each other is amazing. And do know, you didn't get here overnight. It was a lot of work, right? And it's still work.
So we really want to just say thank you to everybody who came here tonight. And if after you fill up the survey, you still have questions or thoughts, or you just want to come and say thank you, then please feel free to do that. If you want to know more about this beautiful organization and to support them, so they have these postcards, so feel free to take one. And if you want to support their travel expenses, then Terry mentioned that at the very beginning. And just thank you, Ghadir, thank you, Abuna, thank you, Rabbi Or, and thank you for coming.
She mentioned it, so if you would like to do a donation, the tray is there. The card I dropped said, your group, the Spirit of the Galilee, is doing a great job of combating the ignorance that was mentioned. Do you know of others. And you did mention others, so you know that. But so you are doing a great work. Know that. Thank you.